Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh Bashmiel Shai Bashem Rakag Radash, and double honors to the apostles of the great millstone that have taught me this truth through the spirit and the power of Yahweh Bashmiel Shai, and Yahweh Bashmiel Shai Brakatham to the 144,000, and including the 1/3 that do follow, and it's your brother Laban, of course. And what I want to get into is some more news in regards to the mark. So we're going to just jump right into it. The World Economic Forum obsession with AI and brain chipping. We can create an AI system where we don't need democratic elections. Klaus Schwab. Remember Klaus Schwab's interview of 2016 with a Swiss-French TV moderator in which Schwab said something to the extent, imagine by 2025 we may all have a chip implanted somewhere in our body or brain, and we may be able to communicate with each other without a telephone, even without using our voice. Klaus Schwab calls it a fusion between the physical, digital, and biological world. So in order for that to be the case, they would have to modify the body that you're in. And the way that they're going to do that is by implanting you with that device. And before they implant you with that device, what do they have to do? They have to give you shot by shot, as well as we can go all the way back to the later of 2019 when they told the public about this scare that was going on in regards to a particular variant. And then that people were told to line up to go get the VC because your body needs to be compatible for the mark. And that mark is going to be that implantable device, according to the book of Revelations 13, 15 and 16, verse 15 to verse 16, excuse me. So under the term human branding or stigmatizing is the process by which a mark, usually a symbol or an ornament pattern, is buried into the skin of a living person with the intention that the resulting scar makes it permanent. This is performed using a hot or very cold branding iron. It therefore uses the physical techniques of livestock branding on a human, either with consent as a form of body modification. So there you go. That's really what branding is. It's just you modifying your body. And this is why it reads in the law, Leviticus 19 and verse 28, that you shouldn't print any marks in your flesh. I'm roughly paraphrasing that, because what that goes into you pretty much modifying the Most High's creation within you. That's what that does. And when you show yourself to the world with all of these tattoos, it's like, for example, this society has coerced people to get tattoos, implants, whether it's BBLs or whether it's, anything to do with enhancing your body. The media has persuaded people into this stuff, because what we have going on in the reality is that we have people that are in chief positions that are just naturally rebellious people. So, as it reads in the book of, Ecclesiastes chapter 10, and I might as well just read it beginning with verse 1. A wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. As the judge of the people is himself, and so are his officers, and what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. Exactly. So again, if you have people that are in chief positions that have, a rebellious soul, you will become a rebellious soul based on their influence. And they can't help themselves because they have an evil, wicked agenda to destroy life on earth for their own benefit, which I don't see how that can be a benefit even to them, because even they're a part of life itself. Okay? So they'll eventually destroy themselves. That's why it mentions also in the book of Habakkuk, man, where it reads that even the spirit that's in these devils isn't upright in them, because their own spirit will even condemn. Their own ways through their spirit will even bring condemnation to themselves. So anyway, let's continue to read on. He also talks about having personalized butlers in the form of robots that are not just slaves, but rather assistants as they function with AI and will learn from us. And there's been some information about how a particular AI robot has rebelled, almost killing an individual, man. I have to bring that up. I could be wrong or I could be right, but I'll post it on post-production. So these guys is looking to create AI robots, and not knowing that these AI robots have the tendency, and maybe it's not that they don't know, they know, so I gotta correct myself. They know that these robots can turn against them. All right. So again, it just goes back to what I just said. These devils are all about condemnation. And they think the spirit of condemnation is going to bring goodwill on their behalf. But in fact, it's going to bring them to their own condemnation eventually. Okay. Their own wisdom is going to fail them because their wisdom is no wisdom, as that reads in the Apocrypha, that the knowledge of wickedness is not wisdom. So now let's get into this right here. The book of Revelations 13 and verse 15. I don't like when it does this, man. I thought I had it on deck. So this reads, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. And the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And we know that the beast is referring to this revival version of this Roman system. Verse 16, as it also reads, and he calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hands or in their foreheads. Let me read this again. And he calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor. So those that are significant in society, those that are insignificant in society. Rich and poor, free and bond, those that are under contracts or in prison, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Now, when you read Revelations, the 14th chapter, it doesn't specify where the mark is located in the flesh, because you could take it in any part of your body. Guess what? Once you take that mark, it will be destroyed in the second death. So this is the reason why we push the mark so much, because when this prophecy comes out, this is going to be the determined factor who's going to be the men of the Lord and who ain't going to be the men of the Lord. In regards to who's going to accept this beast tech that they're promoting right now, and they might even promote it throughout this whole entire year. As I just read to you in this article over here, how he mentioned, imagine by the year 2025, we may all have a chip implanted somewhere in our bodies or brain, and we may be able to communicate with each other without a telephone, even without using our voice. So how is it that at Elon Musk, through his company called Neuralink, the news got out that it was successful, that he was able to implant a brain chip into somebody? So we might very well be on par with what he's saying. So let me move forward. Let's get out of here. Let's read this again. Revelations 13 and 17 now. And that no man might buy or sell save that he had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So now let's read what the commentary of Ellicott has to say. So this reads, and he causeth better, and he, i.e., probably the second wild beast, which the second beast is the system, the revival version of Rome, and not of the image, as in the latter clause of the last verse, makes all men small and great, rich and the poor, and the free and the slaves, that they should give them a mark upon their right hands or upon their foreheads, and that no one should be able to buy or to sell, but he who has the mark, the name of the wild beast, or the number of his name. And he's really coming from a place of the 20th century, because when you research this individual, he was a bishop, if I'm correct, of Gloucestershire around the early of the 20th century. So we're looking at, the 1900s. He was born in the 1800s and he died later in the 1900s. Just to mention briefly. So now we're going to continue to read on. And we have read of the sealing of the servants of the Most High in their foreheads, Revelation 7:3. And we shall hear it again in Revelation 22:4. The power of evil also has its mark or stamp, as slaves receive a brand or mark in their flesh, betokening to whom they belong. Exactly. To whom they belong. So when you take that mark, you're declaring who you belong to. Now he goes off and what he's saying, because, obviously, for one, he's an Edomite, and number two, he's coming from a place of the time period that he's in. So he might not be all the way right, but what he's saying is kind of on point. And I use that term kind of, but if you read on, he goes off. As to be expected. So in the spiritual conflict, there is on the side of good and evil a brand of mark. St. Paul spoke of such mark in his own body that proved him a slave of the anointed, as well as we are too. In the same way, the subtle false prophet, the arbiter of world power, seeks to impress a mark on all on the penalty of complete social exclusion. And the reason why I wanted to read this, because this reminded me of what Bill Gates was saying concerning his digital ID program. So here we have it. Will Bill Gates' digital ID become mandatory to participate in society? On November the 8th, 2023, a virtual launch event took place for what was termed the 50 in 5 agenda. The UN, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and partners of the Rockefeller Foundation are launching a campaign to accelerate digital ID, digital payments, and data sharing rollout in 50 countries under the umbrella of Digital Public Infrastructure, DPI, by 2028. Right? So now let's get to the point, because I want to just get right to the point in this over here. So this is the 50 in 5 campaign. As this reads, the 50 in 5 bill itself as a country-led advocacy campaign by 2028. The 50 in 5 digital public infrastructure, according to the official announcement, the 50 countries, a little bit excited, are designated as global test beds, basically guinea pigs, and the DPIs will first in Africa and India, but the plan is to roll digital IDs globally by 2030 to include all citizens of UN member states, according to Planet Today. So now let's also read something else, which is underneath this video over here, which this gets to the point. So here we have it. DPIs are being sold as a mechanism for financial inclusion. And that's what I wanted to really get into. DPIs are being sold as a mechanism for financial inclusion, convenience, improved healthcare, and green progress. But this is an all-inclusive phrase applied to a looming technocratic governance system powered by 3 foundational components: digital ID, digital payments like central bank digital currencies, and massive data sharing. So the key words that I'm seeing is for financial inclusion. Okay, so let's just say you have to include yourself in society by receiving that mark. DPIs are being sold as a mechanism for financial inclusion, convenience, improved healthcare, and green progress, which is to do with lowering carbon, but is an all-inclusive phrase applied to a looming technocratic governance system powered by 3 foundational components: digital ID, digital payments like central bank digital currencies, and massive data sharing. And that's really what they want to get into. They want to make sure that you are plugged into the grid, and then therefore the powers that be, the governments around the world, can get into your data. And this is what we've been talking about for ages. With that little chip as small as a grain of a rice, with that little C-hip as they say, which is going to be as small as a grain of a rice, will be able to hold all of your data, and that data will, the government will be able to access that. Okay? That is the goal. So if you don't want to get down with this, then you're going to be excluded from society. So Ellicott was right when he said that. Let's go back and read what he just said again. The arbiter of world power seeks to impress a mark on all on the penalty of complete social exclusion. It is utterly unnecessary to take this brand of evil literally, and this is the devil talking, any more than we took the seal of the anointed literally, that seal we understood as spiritual in the faith and in the character, and this evil brand we must interpret in like manner. Right. So he's right about that. But the point is that if you don't receive this mark, you will be excluded from society. Let's read this again. Revelations 13 and 17. And that no man might buy or sell, say that he had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Now, I remember the head brother down here in the UK, Elder Ramah, he did a video in regards to Aldi. And I believe it was to do with the Aldi shop and go checkout QR code thing, right? And, that was just demonstrating what could very well be in the future. If you don't have that mark, like I've mentioned, you won't be able to buy anything, buy or sell anything to do with transaction. You wouldn't be able to get into that. So basically, this is going to be something that most people are going to be driven to doing, because people want to be able to go back into doing what they were doing, what they're comfortable with, right? And a lot of us in the West in hemisphere, we've been nourished for a while here, and we've gotten comfortable here. So now what the Lord is going to do, the Lord is going to pull the rug from underneath our feet, all of us, and we're all going to be tested to see whether we are going to stand the test of time and trusting in Yahweh Bashmi Shah. All right. And that time is surely but slowly approaching. Just to briefly correct myself, I would say swiftly approaching, because things are moving very fast and the time is moving quick. And we'll begin by reading verse 1. Fret not thyself of evildoers, neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity. For they shall soon be cut down like the grass and wither as the green herb. Trust in the Lord Yahweh and do good, and so shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily thou shalt be fed. And delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desire of thine heart. And commit thy way unto the Lord, and trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. And he shall bring forth thy righteousness as the light, and thy judgment as the noonday. Verse 7, rest in the Lord Yahweh, and wait patiently for him, and fret not thyself because of him who prospereth in his way, because of the man who bringeth wicked devices to pass. So yeah, these people, they're prospering, but for how long? As it is written, that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the hypocrite is but for a moment. So this is their time to shine in the sun. Okay. And eventually they're going to use all the money that they have in combination to get this world that they want to sort up, which is the New World Order. And that's going to include everybody being sea-hipped. Okay. And the righteous are not going to consent to this. Even if it means the righteous having to be put to death. They're going to go that route instead. I mean, it's happened in the past. The men of the Lord died for what they believed in. I mean, we could talk about how Yahweh Shai died on the cross. We could talk about how the Apostle Peter was hanged upside down, and many others. All right. The disciples died, you could say grievous deaths for what they believed in. So if we have to go that route, then that's so be. Because we have an inheritance, a greater inheritance, something that this world cannot understand, that the Heavenly Father has in preparation for the elect, as it is also written that there's things neither heard in the ear nor have been seen that the Heavenly Father has for his people, beginning with the elect. All right, let me see if I can read that scripture so I can say it properly. Yeah, 1 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 9. Later on, I could read some more of this as well, because there's some more meat on this. Yeah, so this is 2 Corinthians. This is 2 Corinthians 2 and verse 9. Yeah, just bear me for 1 minute because this phone is acting funny. As a matter of fact, let me do this instead. Let me go get my Bible. Yeah, this is 1 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 9. But as it is written, eyes have not seen, nor ears heard, and neither have entered into the hearts of man the things which the Most High hath prepared for them that love him. So that's all I have to read right there. And I also want to include another precept with that. When the Apostle Paul stated that our glory is going to exceed over the affliction that we're catching, and it's going to be eternal. So let me even get that scripture as well. Yeah, this is it right here. This is 2 Corinthians 4 and verse 17. For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, worketh for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory. While we look not at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal. So we don't know what the exceeding glory looks like. We don't know what that looks like at all. So we can only but imagine that the glory that we're going to receive in the kingdom is going to be out of this world, literally. All right. So this is one of the reasons as to why we can trust in Yahweh Bashmi Yahushua. We can rest in him. Okay. Because we know that he's going to give us salvation. And in that salvation, we're going to receive glory of our Father in heaven that no one has ever seen before. Okay. Rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him. Fret not thyself because of him who prospereth in the way, because of the man who bringeth wicked devices to pass. Cease from anger and forsake wrath. Fret not thyself in any wise to do evil, for the evildoers shall be cut off, but those that wait upon the Lord, they shall inherit the earth, as it is written in the book of Matthew 5, that the meek shall inherit the earth. And that is the ultimate goal of the Lord anyway, is that the meek are going to inherit the planet earth. As it is written even in the Apocrypha, as Ezra's put it. Ezra's even was inquiring of the Lord, and in that he said that the earth was made, the world was made for our sakes. So what do you think is going to happen eventually? All of these nations are going to rule in this that for their time, and then the Lord is going to pretty much establish the just, those that are profitable. Let me go back to the Apocrypha. Verse 4, but the power of the earth is in the hands of the Lord, and in due time he will set over it one that is profitable. Exactly. So in due time, the profitable ones that will be set to rule the earth are going to be the Israelites. What makes us profitable to rule the earth? Because it was the Lord that gave us the instructions. He gave us the manuscript on how to conduct ourselves, how to rule over the people, and everything that everything that involves life. We have all of that. So eventually, in due time, we're going to receive our inheritance, which is the planet Earth. So as it stands right now, the wicked are prospering. But while the wicked are prospering, they're creating, as it is written, the Lord have made man upright, but men have sought to create devices. By the devices of the wicked will they be destroyed, because it's coming from wisdom. It's coming from knowledge of wickedness, which will bring them to their condemnation. Verse 10, for yet a little while, and the wicked shall not be. Yea, thou shalt diligently consider his place, and it shall not be as we are. But the meek shall inherit the earth, and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace. And the wicked plotteth against the just, and gnasheth upon him with his teeth. And that is the agenda of the new world order. And the Lord shall laugh at him, for he seeth that his day is coming. And the wicked have drawn out the sword, and have bent their bow to cast down the poor and needy, to slay such as be upright of conversation. And that's really what they would like to get into doing, is to cast us down to the ground physically. All right. And in that, get Jake to go off. If Jake can go off in their system, then according to their mind, according to what they feel and they think, they feel as though that eventually they can always have the upper hand and rule forever. But there's an election that were chosen that will not bow the knee, as what was said in the book of Romans, the 11th chapter, and have bent their bow to cast down the poor and the needy, and to slay such as be upright conversation. And that's what they're going to try to do. They're going to try to kill all of the prophets, those that stand up for righteousness, as it is written that we're going to be martyrs. Revelations 20 and verse 4, if I'm correct, that John the Revelator saw those that were beheaded that did not receive their mark. But then that's going to be to their downfall even more so, because it reads also in the book of Psalms 105, if I'm correct, it reads, do my prophets no harm. That so much more, as it also reads that the Lord reproveth kings for their sakes. So how is the Lord going to reprove Esau after he gets done putting his hands on us and try to put us to death? The Lord is going to invite himself in this realm to destroy this devil. And the scriptures that involve Yahweh's return will be active here on this planet Earth. Prophecies like Isaiah 63 and many much more will be in effect. And this society is going to be to nothing. That's how it's going to end. Oh, and here we have it. Their sword shall enter into their own heart, and their bows shall be broken. There you go. And the little that a righteous man have is better than the riches of many wicked. For the arm of the wicked shall be broken, but the Lord upholdeth the righteous. And the Lord knoweth the days of the upright, and their inheritance shall be forever. And they shall not be ashamed in the evil time, and in the days of famine they shall be satisfied. That's Job, the 5th chapter. But the wicked shall perish, and the enemies of the Lord shall be as the fat of lambs. Doesn't it say in the book of Isaiah 34? Let's even pull that out. So as this reads, come near ye nations, Isaiah 34:1, to hear, and hearken ye people, and let the earth hear, and all that is therein, the world and all things that come forth of it. For the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations, and his fury is upon all their armies, and he hath utterly destroyed them, and he hath delivered them to the slaughter, and their slain also shall be cast out, and their stink shall come up out of their carcasses, and the mountains shall be melted with their blood, and all of the host of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll after the nuclear missile has hit ground zero, bringing about that mushroom cloud. And all of their hosts shall fall down as the leaf falleth off from the vine, and as a falling fig from the fig tree. Verse 5 is the point. For my sword shall be bathed in heaven, and behold, it shall come down upon Idumea and upon the people of my cursed judgment. Verse 6 as well, which is another good one. The sword of the Lord is filled with blood, and it is made fat with the fatness and with the blood of lambs and goats, and the fat of kidneys of rams. For the Lord have a sacrifice in Basra, a great slaughter in the land of Idumea. And the land of Idumea that this is referring to, because it's not referring to the actual land, because ain't nobody in that land right now. The actual land of Idumea is referring to Babylon, which is America today, because they're the ones that's ruling America, the Idumeans, which is a Greek way of saying Edomites. So according to Psalms 37 and verse 20, that will be put into place, and this prophecy will be seen, which really this is talking about the destruction of America, which is that Basra, that modern day Basra. All right, which Isaiah also prophesied, as I've just read to you in verse 5 from verse 6, which is the point. All right. So this is after they get done slaying the righteous. This is going to be the backlash. You see, so we have a sure word of prophecy, man. And when you read the prophets, when you read about the prophecies of the prophets and you go into the history, what you'll find out, I'm going to say this again because I said this before and I'm going to say it again. You find out that the prophecies came to pass. And we know without a shred of a doubt that the prophecy of Basra being destroyed, aka Babylon, which is also known as the America today, will be destroyed by way of a nuclear destruction. This is why we're drawing much more closer and closer to the war of Armageddon, and as well as we're drawing closer to those missiles lifting off and hitting exactly the target where they're going to hit. Moving forward, and they shall consume into smoke, and shall they consume away. And the wicked borroweth and prayeth not again, but the righteous showeth mercy and giveth. For such as be blessed of him shall inherit the earth, and they that be cursed of him shall be cut off. And Esau is going to be cut off after they institute this mark, thinking that they're going to go in beyond and they're going to rule forever, as it is written, that they think that their houses shall continue forever. That's not going to happen. There's not going to be a fourth industrial revolution. The book of life does not explain this. The book of life explains that the devil will come back again and rule once again, right? The revival version of Rome, and that system that we're now under will be loose in this little season. And we've reached the end point of this little season of this beast. Okay? And Yahweh Shai is well on his way. So now let's even read this. Psalms 140 and verse 8. Grant not, O Lord, the desire of the wicked, and further not his wicked devices, lest they exalt themselves. Salah. So now what I want to do is this. I want to go into this over here. Right. Yeah, so I think I went into that already. Yeah, so I think that's all I've got to bring out from here. I think this is all I have to bring out from here. So with that, I want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rakah HaKodash. And with that, I close. Shalom.